Welcome to the Wife Stories YouTube channel. New video every day, and don't forget to subscribe. Here we go.
I lost not her, but myself. That's the only way I can describe it. And it happened the moment I pressed send. There I was, sitting on the edge of our king-sized bed with its pristine white sheets, phone in hand, staring at the screen until my vision blurred. My thumb hovered for a second longer than it should have. Then I tapped the button. The text disappeared, whisked away to a man I used to do business with, setting in motion a series of quiet betrayals that had become my new routine. An unsettling hush filled our bedroom, broken only by the soft hum of the air conditioner. I felt like I was standing on a trapdoor I had built for myself. No, I wasn't leaving Sarah. Not yet. I wasn't even confronting her. I was simply acting, methodically, to erase her from the accounts, from the business, from every document that linked us as a partnership. My heart hammered in my chest as I realized how calm I was, how precise. A man on the outside might say, "He's lost it." But I didn't feel lost. I find myself drifting toward my study, a cramped space that smells of old paper and dust. The shelves are full of books, some I've read, some I only pretended to. Right now, I'm holding one of them in my hand. *Solaris* by Stanislaw Lem. It's an old edition with a faded green cover, corners worn, the spine creased from repeated readings. If I close my eyes, I can picture the day my father gave me this very book. It's the same day I realized that stories can heal, that they can transport you away from whatever hole you've fallen into. Except not this time. I open it carefully. The stiff old pages rustle, then fall silent. But hidden between them is the note, her note. She tucked it there knowing I would find it. She must have known that if there's any place in this house I still search for comfort, it's inside these pages. That's the kind of thing Susan would do. The script is hers, slanted, an accountant's precise hand. I couldn't say it. He promised he'd leave. Forgive me, if you can. I remember the moment I found it, just a few days ago. I was turning pages slowly, seeking a kind of solitude that only an old book can provide. Then that slip of paper fell onto my lap with a soft whisper. At first, I didn't understand. My mind refused to connect the meaning of the words. She'd had an affair, yes, but this was different. It sounded like a confession, half apology, half excuse, wrapped in a last plea. Forgive me, if you can. I stared at that line for a long time, feeling something tighten in my chest. My breath caught. I heard my pulse pounding in my ears, but outwardly I barely moved. When I looked up from the note, my eyes fell on a random line on the Solaris page. He forgave, and he died. That was it. The moment that told me everything. That line felt handpicked, like she had placed the note in exactly the right spot for me to see that one sentence. I can't decide whether it was a final insult or a desperate cry to put an end to the charade. I held the book open, my eyes traveling over each printed word. Anger rose in me like poison, but I swallowed it down. I felt my teeth clench, then I laughed, a sound so hollow it seemed to echo against the shelves. Something in me realized that maybe she was taunting me, or maybe she was begging me to shut the door on our marriage. In that instant, I understood. I was done. I was done living for her. An hour later, I was in the living room, my daughter next to me. We were arguing over something trivial. Who would play the piano first? She started lessons, tries to practice every day. I love the sound of her uncertain scales, because it reminds me of all the tomorrows she still has, all the hope I once had. Then the phone rang. I saw my wife's face turn pale before I even heard his voice. But I heard it. I recognized his tone, calm, almost intimate, a voice that didn't belong on the other end of my family's phone. My daughter asked, "Daddy, who is that?" I couldn't speak. For a moment, the anger in my chest flared so violently I thought my lungs would collapse, but I forced my jaw to stay locked. I said nothing, just stared. Susan grabbed the phone out of my daughter's hand. Then the next thing I remember is her screaming, her voice pitched with an edge of hysteria. "Get back here, you bastard." She hurled the phone. It hit the couch and fell onto the rug. Silence. My daughter's eyes searched my face. I gave her nothing. No reassurance, no explanation. I turned away and walked into the kitchen. The smell of leftover coffee filled the small space. I felt Susan behind me, her chest heaving. She tried to speak, but her voice cracked. She said nothing coherent, just my name, Jake, in a strangled whisper. I didn't respond. Eventually, she left, footsteps receding into the hall. That night, I made dinner. Grilled chicken, salad, hardly tasted it myself. My daughter said a few words, but her voice died when she realized no one was going to talk back. Susan sat at the table across from me, pale, picking at her plate. I could see her eyes flick to me, uncertain, like she wanted to break the silence, but didn't dare. At some point, she gave up, took 2 bites of chicken, and carried her plate to the sink. She used to have so much life in her. I still remember the days when she would bake pies in the kitchen, humming old songs from her Boston childhood. Her hair, sunlit and full of color, would be pulled back in a carefree ponytail, while she teased me for not knowing how to knead dough. That woman vanished long ago. All that's left is a guilty shadow who can't decide if she's more ashamed or terrified. We sleep in separate rooms now. Maybe that's the final step of a broken marriage. 2 ghosts haunting different corners of the same house. I see the shape of her at odd hours, drifting past me in the hallway, or folded at the desk paying bills late into the night. She tries sometimes to meet my eyes, but I keep mine averted. She thinks if we just keep living, the storm will pass. Our daughter tries to pretend too, but I won't let them pretend. I speak to my child about chores, about school, about piano practice, but I speak as if Susan isn't there at all. And each day, I die a little more inside. Asterisk, 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 3 days ago, I tried to bury myself in old manuscripts from work, marketing reports, deadlines, numbers. But my mind kept replaying the way Susan looked that day of the phone call. Face white as chalk, voice shrill, borderline feral. I wondered if she truly believed she could keep everything hidden from me forever. I stared at an email from my boss, but saw only the lines on that note. Asterisk, I couldn't say it. He promised he'd leave. Forgive me, if you can. Asterisk, he promised he'd leave whom? His own partner. His own home. So he could be with her. The thought turned my stomach. I pictured them together. At first, my imagination refused to supply details, as if trying to protect me. Then, with a rush that almost knocked the air from my lungs, I did see it. Susan's hair spread on a pillow, David's arms around her, his lips at her neck. It struck me like a physical blow. My hands shook over the keyboard. I had to close my eyes. The images felt too real. We had that bed for years, the oak frame with a squeak in the left corner. I recall one night, so vividly, when she and I made love there after we'd fought about something petty. She was wearing a cotton nightgown that I slipped off her shoulders. The memory felt warm. But now all I see is him in my place, behind that closed door. I try to calm myself. All right, so they had sex. It happened. I can't undo it. I can't unsee it. And in the end, it was probably just once, or maybe 100 times. The number doesn't matter. The damage is the same. I realized then that my anger was shifting, deepening, turning into something so cold that it scared me. I got up from my desk, left the house, and ran. Not jogged. Ran. I felt my lungs burn as the chilly Seattle air whipped my face. My feet pounded the pavement in a relentless rhythm that matched the fury in my head. I ran through the streets until I couldn't breathe. My vision blurred, my heart hammered, but still I kept running, half hoping my body would give out. and I just collapse. That day, for the first time in my life, I understood the desire to die. It wasn't dramatic or suicidal in the conventional sense. It was simply an urge to stop existing, to not have to face the betrayal. When I finally slowed, I found myself leaning against a lamppost, gasping. My chest felt like it was on fire. Pedestrians passed by, glancing curiously. No one said anything. I made my way back home eventually, drenched in sweat. I stepped inside, half expecting Susan to run over and ask what happened, but she wasn't around. The living room was dim, the curtains partially closed. The hush of emptiness pressed on me. I glanced at the piano in the corner, dust settling on the keys. My daughter was at school, presumably. Susan was God knows where. Maybe at work, maybe with him. For a second, that thought made my head spin. She's with him, and I'm here. I swallowed the bitterness and headed upstairs. When I entered my bedroom, the smell of old linen and stale air met me. I stripped off my damp running clothes and tossed them in a hamper, then sank onto the bed's edge. The bed creaked. A memory flickered. Me and Susan, fresh from college, lying side by side, talking about the future in hushed, excited voices. We had so many dreams. That was half my life ago. I tried to recall the feeling of her lips, the warmth of her skin, but it brought me no comfort. I felt only the sting of humiliation, imagining David in that same spot. My fists clenched. I rose and opened the closet, rummaging through old boxes. My hands found that Solaris copy again, as if it called to me. The note was still there, folded. I slid it out and read it for the 100th time. My heart hammered in my chest, but I kept my expression calm. Her words, her betrayal. He promised he'd leave. It's strange how life goes on, even when everything is broken. We still have to pay the bills, mow the lawn, feed the dog, if we had one. We don't, but I do open a can of cat food every morning for the stray who lurks in our backyard. My daughter still has homework. She still asks me to quiz her on vocabulary words, and every evening I do. She seems relieved that I haven't completely abandoned her. But the tension in the house is suffocating. Sometimes she looks at her mother, then at me, as if begging us to speak. Susan tries. She'll murmur a question. Jake, could you pass the salt? Or Jake, did you see the utility bill? I pass the salt. I sign the checks. But I don't say a word to Susan. And she never brings up the big topic. She never pleads or demands I talk. She's afraid. Perhaps she sees the storm behind my eyes. I act like a surgeon, cutting out every trace of feeling. This is what I do. I slice away at the illusions. I watch her flinch each time I walk past without acknowledging her presence. Somehow, that's my revenge, denying her any emotional reaction. The silence is so complete it's monstrous. And still, each time I catch a reflection in a window, I think, I could kill us both right now by speaking. Instead, I say nothing. The next day, I was in the attic searching for an old family photo album. My daughter wanted to bring pictures to school for some project about heritage. Dust motes floated in the stale air, my footsteps echoing on the boards. Up there, I found boxes marked with my mother's handwriting, Jake's college books, and Christmas ornaments. Next to them, I saw a sealed cardboard box with her name on it, Susan's old keepsakes. Curious, I lifted the lid. Inside were scraps of her childhood. A stuffed teddy with a missing ear, a few certificates from her high school choir, an old cassette tape labeled Dad's Voice, and a bundle of letters. My heart panged. This was the father she lost so young. I remembered how she told me about him, how losing him shaped her entire worldview. I found a few Polaroids of a teenage Susan, bright-eyed and full of laughter. In them, she wore a leather jacket, leaning against a battered old car. Asterisk God, she was fearless. Asterisk, then I came across something else. A small notebook with scribbles that must have been from her college years. Flicking through it, I recognized the same neat handwriting as the note in asterisk Solaris. Asterisk, most entries were about daily life. Exams, finances, her mother's health. But then, on one page, I saw a bullet point list. I want to feel alive. I want to sing again. I want to not be afraid of losing everything. I swallowed. This woman, the one who had become a stranger to me, once had a spirit hungry for life, for possibility. I remembered how, in the early years of our marriage, she'd talk about opening a small bakery or maybe a music studio. Then life happened. She got a secure accounting job. She supported me while I jumped from one marketing gig to another. She always said, as long as we're together, I'm happy. What changed? I knew the answer. She did. Asterisk we asterisk did. We let the spark fade. I felt a momentary flicker of sadness, but it hardened quickly into resentment. Because no matter what had gone wrong between us, asterisk she asterisk chose to betray me. Asterisk asterisk asterisk. The day I truly asterisk saw asterisk, the betrayal remains etched in my mind with merciless clarity. I shouldn't have come home early. Usually, I'd stay at the office. But that day, my boss canceled a meeting last minute, so I drove home. The weather was dreary. Rain slapping the windshield, Seattle's signature gloom. I parked. The house looked the same as always, a modest suburban place with a small garden. I pushed open the front door. Everything was quiet. A weird hush hung in the air, like the house was holding its breath. I remember calling out, "Susan." My voice echoed. No answer. I made my way down the hall. Our bedroom door was half open, a slice of light falling across the carpet. Something about that light felt off, like it was highlighting the scene inside just for me. I pushed the door open. My heart hammered once, then froze. There she was, in our bed. Asterisk with him. Asterisk Susan's hair splayed on the pillow, the sheets partly twisted around her body. David had one arm around her, his other hand brushing her cheek. Their faces were too close. And the expression on her face, a mixture of vulnerability and raw desire, shattered me in an instant. I stood there, silent, while a wave of nausea crawled up my throat. They didn't see me at first. Their eyes were locked on each other. She was whispering something, voice trembling, and he leaned in to kiss her lips. Then Susan sensed me. She jerked her head. Her eyes met mine. For an interminable second, none of us moved. David's breath caught. His body went rigid. Susan gasped, her arms flailing to pull the sheets up. But it was too late. I'd already seen everything, her half-naked skin, the flush in her cheeks. The moment felt burned into my memory. Time slowed. My mind replayed the details. The faint pink flush across her collarbone, the curve of her leg against his. The entire scene hammered at me like a sledgehammer to the gut. But I didn't yell, didn't storm. I just exhaled. I turned my back. Left. As I headed down the hall, I heard movement behind me. Susan stammering, "Jake. Wait," and him cursing under his breath. I was out the door before they could catch me. The rain drenched my hair, soaked my shirt. I felt nothing. Dead inside. I got into my car, started the engine, and drove. Nowhere. Just somewhere that wasn't asterisk there asterisk. I ended up in a parking lot near a waterfront. I sat for an hour, watching the gray waves roll. My hands trembled on the steering wheel. Rain pounded the windshield. I remembered my father's heart attack and how powerless I'd felt, like the entire world was yanked from under me. That day felt the same, except now it was betrayal, not death. Or maybe it asterisk was asterisk, a kind of death. A slow, rotting one that creeps into your soul. I never confronted Susan about it with words. That might sound insane, but I think I was beyond confrontation. My pride refused to let me engage in a screaming match or demand an explanation. I never gave her that chance. I came home late, slept on the couch, avoided her. From that day onward, something in me locked up. Asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. Each night after that, I started reading again. Old books, anything to keep my mind occupied. That's when I discovered the note in asterisk Solaris. Asterisk, she planted it recently. I suspect some twisted attempt at an apology, or a final nudge for me to leave her. But I didn't. I stayed with that note beating in my chest like a second heartbeat. She must have told David something similar. He promised to leave whoever he needed to. Maybe he meant leaving Seattle, or leaving asterisk his asterisk old life. The bottom line is, they wanted a new start. They wanted me out of the picture, either literally or emotionally. I can't say which. Well, they got half of it. I'm out, in spirit. Only my body remains. Asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. I try to hold it together for my daughter. I set the table, cook dinner, do the laundry. Susan floats around, a ghost with an apologetic aura. Sometimes I catch her in the kitchen, rummaging in the fridge. She sees me and still tries to speak. But I just stand there, letting the fridge door's hum fill the silence. Then she sighs and slips away. One afternoon, I see her phone on the coffee table. I hear a muffled ring and notice the caller ID. Asterisk David. Asterisk my stomach knots, but a cold curiosity pushes me to pick it up. My hand hovers over it. I asterisk want asterisk to hear what he'll say. But at the last second, I pull back. I can't stoop to that. That's her phone. That's her conversation. Maybe they'll make plans to meet somewhere. Maybe they'll talk about me like I'm a piece of furniture that's in the way. The phone stops ringing. I put it down, walk away. Asterisk, asterisk, asterisk by the time we reach the final break. It happens on a Sunday morning. I wake up to the sound of my daughter practicing piano. Her playing is halting, but I hear determination in each chord. I lay there for a few minutes, letting the music wash over me. Then I rise. I go downstairs, step into the living room. She sees me and stops. Dad. She starts to say something. Maybe she wants to ask if things will ever be normal again. But I can't give her that. Instead, I manage a small nod. Keep going. I say. Susan appears in the doorway, arms crossed. Her gaze flicks between me and our daughter. She tries a weak smile. I can almost see the question in her eyes. Asterisk, will you ever forgive me? Asterisk, I hold her stare for a moment. Then turn to my daughter and put a hand on her shoulder. Practice the second movement, I tell my daughter quietly. Focus on your left hand. She nods, uncertain, but resumes playing. The melody is shaky. Susan lingers a moment, then leaves. Asterisk, asterisk, asterisk that afternoon. A call comes in on the landline. The ring sets my teeth on edge. Susan is in the kitchen. My daughter is in the backyard. I pick up. Jake. It's David's voice. Low, a bit uneasy. Is Susan there? I grip the receiver. It takes me a second to speak. Who's asking? Silence. Then I hear him exhale. Look, man, I need to talk to her. Something flickered in her expression. Anxious guilt. I stared a moment too long, then picked up my sweater and left. Once in the hallway, I quietly let out a ragged breath. My heart pounded, half from anger, half from the thrill of the knowledge that her time was running out. Our son's birthday approached. She tried to act like the perfect mother, ordering a cake with his favorite character on it, planning a small party. She even insisted we do it at an indoor play center, so he could have a great time with his classmates. I went along, smiling for the cameras, standing beside Sarah in family photos. I played the doting father. The irony made me want to laugh, and then break down sobbing. During the party, she stood next to me, politely placing a hand on my shoulder while we sang Happy Birthday. The photographer captured that moment. Two parents, beaming at their child. The kid I'd raised as my own, though biologically he wasn't mine. My chest is heaving, rage pounding in my veins. My daughter steps forward like she wants to ask if I'm all right, but she stops. I see tears forming in her eyes. A wave of shame hits me. She doesn't deserve this. I rake a hand through my hair, mutter that I need fresh air, and leave the house. Asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. I walk for an hour, maybe two. The sky is overcast. I wish I could run again like before, but my knees ache. Middle age is a relentless weight. I end up on a bench near a small park. An older man in a baseball cap sits at the opposite end, tossing breadcrumbs to the birds. He nods at me friendly. I nod back. I think about asterisk Solaris, asterisk the line. He forgave, and he died. A part of me wonders if forgiveness would truly kill me. Could it be that letting go is the only way to live again? But the bitterness has me in a stranglehold. My mind replays the sight of them in bed, the hush of the room, the betrayal. There's no room for mercy. A quiet voice in my head says, asterisk murder doesn't have to be literal. You can kill a relationship without bloodshed, and maybe you can kill your illusions too. Asterisk, I take a long breath. The crisp air stings my lungs. It's not enough to calm me. My thoughts drift to a darker place. Asterisk revenge. Asterisk, not in the sense of burning the house down or running off with some other woman. No, my revenge is simpler. I will become free. I'll shed every last ounce of love, every shred of care. I'll let Susan stand in the rubble of our marriage and realize she lost me forever. Yes, that's how I'll do it. Asterisk, 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 when I get back. Susan is waiting in the living room. She stands as I enter. I look around. Our daughter isn't here. I can hear the muffled sound of her upstairs, probably in her room with headphones on. Susan's voice is low. Jake, please. We need to talk. I stop in the doorway. The old me might have refused, but something in her posture, the trembling of her shoulders, makes me pause. Let's see what she has to say. I come in, sit on the couch. She stands a moment, then sits on the armchair across from me, hands clasped. Her knuckles are white. I say nothing. Finally, she exhales. I don't know how to do this anymore. I don't know how to fix what's broken. My voice is toneless. Maybe it can't be fixed. She nods slowly, tears gathering at the corners of her eyes. He's leaving, she says. David. He said he can't do this anymore. He's going back to California. A strange calm settles over me. Asterisk, so. That's it. The other man is fleeing. Asterisk, I watch her. See the tension in her lips. So you lost him. She flinches. Jake? Her voice wavers. I wanted to say I'm sorry. I never planned for any of this. It just happened. I was lonely, and I raise a hand. Stop. She stops. I let the silence stretch. Let the weight of it crush the illusions. Then I speak quietly. Susan, you can't unsay what was said. You can't undo what you did. It's done. Her tears spill over. She bows her head. I know. I need to know if there's any way. She can't finish. I stand. My knees pop. I'm not young. Neither is she. We both wasted so much time. I'll stay in this house, I say, for our daughter, until she's ready to leave. But I'm done being your husband. This is no longer a marriage. It's just an arrangement. Her breath hitches. She tries to speak, but nothing comes out. I step past her. I'm going to make dinner, I say. If you're hungry, fine. If not, do whatever you want. Her sobs echo behind me as I walk to the kitchen. My heart is pounding, but I keep my expression cold. I feel that swirl of pity, anger, and an odd sense of release. She's broken. And in that moment, I understand the meaning of revenge. Asterisk, it's not punishment. It's my freedom. Asterisk, 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 for the next few days, I barely see her. She tries to avoid me, as though she thinks my silence might lash out at her. In a way, that's true. Every time we're in the same room, I feel that scorching resentment. So it's best we keep our distance. I continue playing the role of caretaker for our daughter. I check her homework. I remind her to feed the stray cat. Life churns on. I do laundry, noticing the difference in how few of Susan's clothes there are in the hamper. She's not dressing up. She's not going out. She's just existing in a perpetual state of regret. One evening, she tries again. She finds me in the living room, standing by the piano. My daughter left her sheet music on the bench. I'm flipping through it, not reading it, just letting my fingers feel the pages. Susan steps up behind me. "Jake," she says softly. "I'm so sorry." I close the book. My voice is measured, surgical. "I know." She touches my arm, and I jerk away. "Don't," I warn. She flinches, tears forming again. Are we going to live like this forever?" "Yes," I say. "We are." She looks up at me, eyes full of despair. I can't stand it. I swallow hard. My anger flares, remembering her in bed with him, the note in the book. "Then leave," I say. She stands there, speechless. I sense the panic in her. She isn't ready to lose everything. Her daughter, her home, the life she built. She wants me to either forgive her or fight her, but I do neither. I just watch her unravel. Her breathing is shallow, just like it was when we first spoke at the bedroom door that night. That same hush of guilt. Asterisk, 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 every day. I sink deeper into this numbness. The idea of dying doesn't scare me. Sometimes I think about it as a welcome rest. I'm not actively suicidal, but if a bus came barreling down the road and I happened to step in its path, I wouldn't scramble to get out of the way. That's how tired I am. But I keep going for our daughter. She's the only thing that matters. I see glimpses of hope in her face. She still loves me unconditionally. She doesn't deserve to lose a father on top of everything else. Meanwhile, Susan lingers in the house like a penitent sinner. She tries to reach out, but I give her nothing. Sometimes at night, I hear her crying softly in the guest room. I close my eyes, force myself not to care. My chest aches with a strange mix of pity and disgust. I remember an old saying, asterisk, there's a thin line between love and hate. Asterisk, I never fully understood it until now. I hate her, but a part of me still recalls the times we shared, times of genuine tenderness. That push and pull tears at me. Asterisk, 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 late one night, I'm at the dining table, the dim light overhead revealing a stack of bills. I pay them mechanically. The pen in my hand feels heavy. On a whim, I flick to a blank piece of paper, let my mind roam. The words come out, a confession of my own. I died the day I saw you with him. I kept walking afterward, but a part of me never left that room. I read it over. Then I tear it up. I realize with a jolt that I'm edging close to letting her back in. No, I can't do that. I hear movement in the hallway. I freeze. Susan's footsteps. She stops near the kitchen. Maybe she thought I'd gone to bed. I can practically feel her presence, tense, uncertain. The air is thick with the unspoken. I don't move. Eventually, she returns to her room. Asterisk, 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 a week passes. Every day, I reflect on how I might reclaim the pieces of my life that still matter. I take my daughter to her piano recital. I stand in the back of the small auditorium, arms folded, my posture rigid. But a flicker of pride warms me when I hear her play. She's improving. Those slender fingers press the keys with newfound confidence. The audience applauds politely. My wife is there too, sitting in a row near the front. She turns to see if I'm watching. I keep my eyes on my daughter. Afterward, the three of us head to the parking lot. Susan tries to walk next to me, but I keep a few steps ahead. My daughter doesn't comment. She's learned not to. We drive home in silence. My daughter stares out the window, tears glinting in her eyes. That kills me inside. She doesn't deserve this toxic environment. I want to comfort her, but I'm locked in my own vow of vengeance, which is basically a vow of silence. When we get home, She hurries upstairs. I stand in the entryway, keys in my hand. Susan turns to me, face drawn. Jake, can't you see how this is hurting her? I set the keys down. Yes, I say. I do. But it's you who caused this. She flinches like I slapped her. A moment's silence. If it will make it easier, I'll leave. I'll find a place, and we'll figure out how to co-parent. My voice cuts in, harsh. And do what? Let you run off again the moment you get lonely. Destroy another home. I'm not giving you the easy way out. The words spill out before I can stop them. She gasps, tears welling. For a second, I see real anger in her eyes. Then it fades into defeat. I deserve that, she whispers, stepping away. I watch her retreat, feeling a grim satisfaction. This is my revenge. Her every breath is too light, too shallow. And it's because of me. It's because of the knowledge that I will never love her again. Asterisk, 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 2 days later. A letter arrives. It's addressed to Susan, from a real estate agency in California. Something about a listing. I have no idea if David is behind it, or if she's preparing to move. She sets it aside without a word. I see in her face that she's torn. She doesn't want to abandon our daughter, but she can't stand existing like this either. Night falls. Another dinner passes in silence. My daughter stirs her food. Dad, can I go to my friend's house tomorrow? She asks. To study. I nod. Sure, I'll drive you. Susan starts to say something, but I cut her off by rising from the table. I'm done, I announce. I rinse my plate and head to the living room. I see the tension in our daughter's posture, the slump in Susan's shoulders. They both just want a normal conversation, and I'm refusing them that. Asterisk, asterisk, asterisk at midnight. I can't sleep. My mind churns with a heaviness that no book can dispel. I leave my bed, go to the garage. In the corner is an old upright piano, the one my daughter used before we got the nicer one inside. I run my hand over the dusty keys. Press 1. The note resonates softly in the silence. Then I hear the door from the house to the garage open. Susan steps in, wearing a robe. Her hair is down, looking more like the woman I met decades ago. She stands there, uncertain, arms around herself. The fluorescent light hums. I can't sleep, she whispers, her voice echoing off the concrete walls. Neither can I, but I don't say it. She dares to take a step closer. Jake, she says quietly, I'm sorry if this is selfish, but do you still love me at all? A bitter laugh escapes my throat. It echoes. No, I say. Not in the way you want me to. She nods slowly, tears filling her eyes. I had to know. We stand in the stale half-darkness. I close my eyes, exhaling. My chest feels as if it's being crushed by a silent weight. Then I hear her soft footsteps approaching. I sense her warmth. For a split second, my body recalls the old reflex. Reach out, hold her. But my mind rages. Asterisk, she's the one who tore us apart. Asterisk, I remain still, fists clenched. Finally, she says, I'll leave tomorrow. I'll pack a few things. I'll stay in a motel until I figure out what to do next. I stare at the piano keys. My reflection glimmers faintly on their black surface. I think of how our daughter will take it, how she'll be heartbroken and probably blame me as much as her mother. But maybe that's the natural consequence. Susan waits, searching my face. Jake, please, say something. My lips tighten. Go. She nods, shoulders shaking. Then she turns and walks out. The door swings shut behind her, leaving me alone with the trembling hush of the fluorescent light. Asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. The next morning, I hear the scrape of suitcases in the hall. I stay in the kitchen, sipping coffee, staring out the window. I watch the stray cat prowl along the fence. My daughter's at school already. She left early, skipping breakfast. Maybe she sensed what was coming. Susan walks into the kitchen, a small suitcase in hand. Her eyes are red, and she's wearing jeans and a plain shirt, no makeup. She sets a small envelope on the table in front of me. My new number, she says dully, and the motel address. I nod without meeting her gaze. She swallows. I want to call our daughter this afternoon, okay? Fine. A pause. Then, Jake, I'm sorry. I say nothing. My coffee has gone cold. I raise it to my lips, sip. I hear her pick up the suitcase again. She stands there a moment longer, as if waiting for me to say, asterisk, don't go. Asterisk. But I won't. Her footsteps move away, and the front door opens. Then it closes. Silence. Asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. I remain at the table, my mind blank. She's gone. Shouldn't I feel relief, or maybe triumph? Instead, a low ache throbs inside me. The cat outside meows, tail flicking. I open the back door, toss a handful of kibble onto the patio. My hands are shaking. I grip the doorframe until the trembling stops. Is this my victory? If so, why do I feel hollow? I guess because revenge is never sweet. It's just asterisk necessary asterisk. And the irony is, I didn't even asterisk do asterisk anything active to take revenge. I simply cut her off emotionally until she shattered. That's enough. Asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. When my daughter comes home later, she finds me in the living room. Her expression is tense. She glances around, sees the empty spaces where Susan's shoes used to be, or the coat rack minus her jacket. She's gone. Yes, she dropped her backpack, tears filling her eyes. Why can't you just talk to each other? I can't. I say, voice flat. Not after what she did. She bursts into sobs, real heartbreak. My chest constricts. She's my child. I want to hold her and promise it'll all be okay. But I don't. I stand there, arms at my sides, feeling like the worst father in the world. Eventually, she runs upstairs to her room, slamming the door. I sink onto the couch, cradling my head in my hands. The hush of the house is deafening. My eyes wander to the old copy of asterisk Solaris asterisk lying on the coffee table. I pick it up, flip to the note. The words glare at me. I couldn't say it. He promised he'd leave. Forgive me, if you can. The lines blur as I stare. My lips twist in a bitter smirk. The lover left her. Now she's gone too. Nothing left to say. Asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. Time crawls forward in increments of days and weeks. Life without Susan is strange, but less tense. My daughter and I talk more, though she's distant at first. I can see the resentment in her eyes. She feels I pushed her mother away. I want to tell her the story from my perspective. But how do I explain the depth of betrayal? The scene burned into my mind. The note. The phone calls. I can't. So I do what I've been doing. I keep silent. The second week after Susan's departure, I come across her phone charger in a kitchen drawer. It stings me unexpectedly. I stare at it, remembering how she'd stand right there, hooking her phone up, glancing at me with guilt. I toss the charger into a box of miscellaneous items. Slowly, I realize I have to piece together a new life. My daughter is my focus. I begin cooking more elaborate meals for us, trying new recipes. I help her with her studies, drive her to piano lessons. If she asks about her mother, I don't forbid her from seeing Susan. I just don't volunteer any opinions. At night, when the house is quiet, I sometimes feel that old heaviness pressing on me. The swirl of anger and sadness. I remind myself, asterisk, this is liberation. This is me living after her. Asterisk, 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 asterisk. Days turn into months. My daughter starts to do better in school. She visits Susan occasionally, but she never says much about it. I don't ask. My own life centers on my job. I bury myself in marketing campaigns. I go for runs, ignoring the pain in my knees. I read. Once in a while, I open asterisk Solaris asterisk and read that single line. He forgave, and he died. A tiny voice in my head wonders if I might still be dying inside by refusing to forgive. But I shut that voice down. I've learned that revenge is a double-edged sword. It liberates you from illusions, but it also carves out pieces of your soul. That's the trade-off. And yet, I can't regret it. Because the alternative is letting her walk all over me again. Sometimes I recall the day I caught them. The hush in that bedroom. The flush on her cheeks. The stolen kisses. It's an image that never truly fades. But each time I remember it, the anger is a little less acute, replaced by a dull sorrow. Maybe that's progress, or maybe it's just acceptance. Asterisk, 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 one Saturday morning. I'm rummaging through the garage, looking for a toolbox. I come across Susan's old possessions stacked in a corner. For a second, I feel an urge to open those boxes to see if there's any clue about the woman she became. The one who wanted to feel alive and ended up wrecking our marriage. But I resist. No good will come of dredging that up. I walk back inside. The silence envelops me. My daughter is at a friend's house. The emptiness is tangible. For a moment, I stand in the living room, gazing at the piano. A memory surfaces, Susan trying to teach me a simple melody, her laughter light and musical when I fumbled. We were so young then. It feels like a lifetime ago. I shut my eyes, breathe in, and realize something. The suffocating hatred is fading. In its place, there's a stillness, a hollow calm. Maybe that's what revenge ultimately grants you. Not happiness, but a release from the old illusions. A space where you can stand without collapsing. I open the windows, let fresh air in. A breeze rustles the curtains. I find the cat outside, feed it. Then I pick up the phone and dial. Not Susan, not David. I call an old friend from college, someone I haven't spoken to in years. It's time to do something that isn't about her or about the pain. Time to start living for myself. Asterisk, 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 life doesn't magically become perfect. There's no grand redemption. But day by day, I feel the numbness thawing. My daughter and I share small moments, shopping for groceries, complaining about the weather, joking about her teachers. The house remains quiet, but it no longer suffocates me. Susan calls sometimes. She tries to speak to me politely, but I keep it brief. We only discuss matters concerning our daughter. She sounds cautious, as though she knows I could hang up at any moment. I rarely hear any mention of David. Maybe he's out of her life for good. Maybe not. It doesn't matter. He no longer matters to me. Sometimes, late at night, when I'm in bed, I think of the finality of it all. How we loved, how we lost each other. I wonder if I'll meet someone else someday, or if I'll pass the years alone, reading my books and savoring the quiet. I can't predict the future, but I do know one thing. I'm no longer stuck in that place where I dream of dying. I might still have regrets, might still carry a wound, but I'm alive. Asterisk free. Asterisk, 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 asterisk. A few weeks later, I receive an unexpected envelope in the mail. No return address, but the handwriting is Susan's. I open it warily. Inside, there's a single piece of paper, a note, like the one I found in asterisk solaris asterisk, only this time in English, her voice trembling through every letter. I don't expect anything from you, just wanted you to know. I'm taking singing lessons. I'm trying to find myself again. Please tell our daughter I love her. Susan. I stare at the note. My first impulse is to rip it up, toss it away. But I don't. I lay it on the table. Then I walk to the window. Outside, the late afternoon sun slants across the yard. The cat is dozing on the fence. A light wind stirs the leaves. I breathe in. My chest expands fully. For a moment, I think of the asterisk solaris asterisk line again. Asterisk he forgave. And he died. Asterisk I press my hand against the glass, feeling the warmth of the sun. Forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. It doesn't mean letting her back into my heart. But maybe it means acknowledging that she, too, is trying to survive her own mistakes. Maybe it means asterisk, I don't have to carry the knife anymore asterisk. A kind of peace settles over me. I turn away from the window, letting the warmth linger on my back. I don't know if I'll ever forgive her in the way she wants, but I do know I've broken free of the worst of the rage. I'm done bleeding for her choices. I'm done letting the memory of that day define me. This is my final act of revenge. Asterisk, I release myself. Asterisk, I will live on, not as a man consumed by betrayal, but as someone who carries a scar and keeps walking. And that, more than any violent outburst, is the truest vengeance, because it means she no longer has any power over me. I pick up the note from the table, fold it carefully, and slip it into the same battered asterisk Solaris asterisk volume where I once found her original confession. I'll keep it as a reminder that life can twist and break us, but it can also grant us the strength to stand tall afterward. And as I set the book back on the shelf, I feel the final chord of this story echo in my chest. A chord that says, asterisk, I'm still here. Asterisk. Perhaps Ethan was long gone, or maybe she'd broken it off to salvage whatever remained of her life. I didn't care enough to find out. One evening, as we put our son to bed, he asked if we could read together, all three of us. Sarah and I exchanged an awkward glance, but we agreed. We sat on his bed, me on one side, her on the other, the boy in the middle. He handed me a storybook. My voice caught in my throat as I began reading. Sarah watched, tears glistening in her eyes. I felt her gaze on me, a silent plea. But I kept reading, ignoring the raw ache in my chest. For a moment, we were almost a family again, with me stumbling through the lines of a children's tale, while our boy smiled contentedly. After he drifted off, Sarah and I left the room. She paused in the hallway, turning to me. That felt normal, she murmured, voice heavy with longing. I nodded, not trusting myself to speak, because it had felt normal, and that only underscored how broken our lives had become. Over time, I realized that my revenge, while thorough, had its own costs. I'd succeeded in financially isolating her, in ensuring she couldn't leave with half. But I still lived under the same roof, haunted by memories, forced to see her every day. My heart had turned to ice, and yet I couldn't uproot myself entirely because of the boy. A boy who needed a father, even if I wasn't truly his by blood. I often stared at myself in the bathroom mirror, wondering if I'd become a villain in my own story. Should I have just divorced her and cut ties? Should I have confronted her immediately instead of orchestrating an elaborate trap? Maybe, but I wasn't sure I could forgive or forget the magnitude of her betrayal. And deep down, a part of me wanted her to remain close, trapped in the consequences of her actions. That was the real cruelty, I suppose. One morning, I found her in the living room, looking through an old photo album. She glanced up as I approached, and I noticed her eyes were red from crying. These were happier days, she said. I need some air, I said, voice rasping. She looked up, eyes pleading, but said nothing. As I left, I felt a stabbing realization. Maybe we both wanted the impossible, to turn back time to a marriage we destroyed. But there was no turning back. Time crawled forward. The boy turned 10. We celebrated quietly at home, just the three of us. He asked for a new bike. We got it for him. Sarah tried to make a homemade cake. It was crooked and slightly burned on one side, but he loved it anyway. I watched them laugh together in the kitchen. The ache in my chest was no longer scalding rage, but a lingering, dull sorrow. Some nights, I'd dream of the day I discovered her infidelity, replaying that midday scene in my head. The sunlight, their bodies entwined, her soft moan. I'd wake up in a cold sweat, my hands gripping the sheets. Part of me wondered if the slow burn of this shared existence was worse than an explosive divorce. Another part reminded me that I couldn't bear the thought of her walking away scot-free, or leaving me to pick up the pieces alone. Maybe I was punishing her, or maybe I was just too broken to start over. At some point, though, I realized the plan I'd executed so perfectly had a built-in sentence for me as well. I was stuck in a loveless arrangement, bound by duty to a boy who was still everything to me, even though I wasn't his father. That's the price of revenge. People think it's a one-time blow, but it leaves scars on both sides. And so we reached this moment, here in the quiet of our living room, me speaking, perhaps to you, perhaps to no one, trying to make sense of it all. I look at Sarah, moving about the house barefoot, pretending to be content. She occasionally tries to talk to me, to bridge the gap, but the gulf is too wide. We exist in a tense detent, neither of us free, both haunted by what we've done. I think back to that day, the day I pressed send for the first time, setting my entire revenge in motion. I remember the vow I made silently. She'll pay for what she did. She has. But so have I. Watching her live in the trap I set, seeing her pale face and trembling lips, doesn't bring me peace. It just reminds me of what we lost. I feel a pang as I recall how she once gazed at me with pure adoration, how we built a life together, how I believed our son was ours. Now the child is only mine in name and heart, not blood. Still, that's enough for me, or at least I tell myself it is. Every day, I try to be the father he needs, even if the foundation beneath that role is fractured. And Sarah, she's here, but not really. She's locked in her own cage of remorse, still wearing her ring, still hoping for something. Maybe forgiveness, maybe redemption. Sometimes, I catch her watching me with hollow eyes, as if she wants to say 1,000 things but can't find the words. At night, when she thinks I'm asleep, I hear her restless pacing in the hall or the creak of the guest room bed when she tosses and turns. She's trapped, yes, but so am I. Neither of us knows how to break free without destroying whatever remains of our son's stability. In a twisted way, we're both prisoners of the life we once thought we wanted. I stare out the window, seeing my reflection in the glass. A man who doesn't recognize himself anymore. A man who's learned that betrayal cuts deeper than a knife, and that revenge doesn't heal the wound. A man who wonders if there's enough left of him to rebuild a life, or if he'll be stuck in this purgatory forever. In the end, maybe the real question isn't why she betrayed me or why I punished her in return. Maybe the question is, who am I now? Because as I stand here, listening to the quiet rustle of her footsteps behind me, I realize something about betrayal. It isn't about losing someone else. It's about losing yourself in the process. And once that happens, once you've crossed that line, there's no guarantee you can ever find your way back.